What's up, everybody? My name is Michael, or Kiratze online. Hopefully you guys are having a positively fantastic day so far, and I'm here with another recap for Early Access Friday. Our last Early Access Friday was March the 2nd, and that day we played only one Early Access game, which is what you're looking at, Tower of Time by Event Horizon. This is an Early Access game that was actually released on July 13th of 2017, and I don't know if they have... I believe they're getting pretty darn close to actually getting the final version out. They're actually hoping to, according to their early access Steam page, they're hoping to get it out by the end of March, which is this month at the time of this recording, March of 2018. And it's really, really good. I actually was quite surprised by it. Whenever you have some more of these smaller developers try and take on like epic RPGs and stuff like that, it can, especially when you're taking sort of the early access route, it can be a little hit or miss, but they did a really, really good job with this. There's definitely some new things that they're adding into sort of the formula and changing up some things. And it's sort of a RPG RTS hybrid almost, very small scale RTS actually, sort of similar to how you would play something like Divinity Original Sin 2. But the explorative aspect and just walking around and story and stuff like that, the story is actually pretty cool and pretty unique from what I see. The writing's really, really good. It's not voice acted. I don't believe they are planning on getting voice acting in. And there's a lot of dialogue to read through. So just like some of those older school CRPGs and stuff like that, and epic fantasy RPGs, if you're not one to enjoy reading, you might not want to try this one out because there is a lot of dialogue, and because it's not voice acted, it can be a little rough to get through if you're not a fan of sort of the fantasy style writing this game offers. But it's pretty cool. Like the whole story is you can tell by the name it's all based in a tower, and you play this little prologue area where you explore this tower as a kid, and this is sort of almost an apocalyptic era where things have really gone to shit in the world and humans are running out of resources and that kind of stuff. And you are part of a little farm. And as a kid, you explore this Tower of Time and you sort of get, not possessed, but you get almost attached by some unnatural force from the tower, and you revisit it when you're an adult. And you actually sit at the throne of this Tower of Time and control sort of your companions actually. So it's a sort of cool take on that, where you're overseeing everything through their eyes, and you're playing them, but you yourself as your own character, you're really all you're doing is sitting at the throne and sort of being this omnipotent, is that the word? All-seeing presence, I guess, is the best way to put it. And your goal is that trying to get to the bottom of this tower, and you feel that there's resources to help you that you could bring back to your community outside of the tower, like to your family and stuff like that. And that's pretty much the basis of it. They have 7 levels of the tower, and it took me about 5 hours to actually beat level 1. So it does offer quite a bit of content. They do boast about 30 hours at normal difficulty and lower at this moment. And if you're playing on hard or epic difficulties, it can reach potentially over 50 hours. It's actually a pretty challenging game, and I was having some close calls, and I'm playing on normal, and there's 2 higher difficulties above what I'm playing right now. So I can imagine it could be pretty darn difficult, and you'd have to be extremely efficient with your in-battle choices to actually get through some of the tougher battles that the game offers. So they're pretty much done all the story, I believe, as well. So if you want, you pretty much have a full feature experience here. Really, the main thing they want to do is add a little bit more content and also balance things. I haven't encountered any major issues at all. The only biggest issue I had was when I closed the game, it just crashed, that's all, but I was closing the game anyways. Everything else is really, really solid. Again, it feels very, very full-featured. It doesn't feel like an early access game at all. Obviously, they're at the end of their early access development, and I didn't play this, right when it first came out in early access, so I don't really know the whole story there, but you have a really, really solid experience here. And for the epic RPG experience that some people enjoy, for $20, I think is an extremely good deal. Like, for the 5 hours of enjoyment I got out of it, I already feel like I got my money's worth. And to know that, it has like easily over 20 hours more content for me, that's pretty awesome. The one nice thing I like about this game is sort of the way they do the battle system. So you actually have sort of two different phases. Where in a game like Divinity Original Sin 2, you sort of it's all integrated, right? Like when you fight, it's just however the environment is at that moment. But in this game, there's actually the explorative phase, so you can actually walk around. There are puzzle elements to the game, and there are secrets to the game as well, which is pretty nice. So if you enjoy that kind of explorative aspect of the game, of RPGs, you'll really enjoy that stuff in this game. And they do usually reward you with like better equipment and better gems and stuff like that. So you have the explorative phase, and then just like if you were playing on like Final Fantasy or something like that, where you have models, like you do have enemies that you see in the explorative phase, but when they walk up to you, that's when the actual battle phase starts. And you probably saw it at the very, very first part of this video. I was entering into a battle phase, and the battle phase actually tells you all the different enemies you may encounter in that phase, and it's sort of almost they almost have a tower defense aspect of the game as well, where you have different spawn points in each of these battle arenas that continuously spawn enemies, and there's a certain amount of enemies you have to defeat, or you have to defeat a certain boss of that battle. And it's pretty cool that they actually show you all the enemies that you'll potentially encounter, their weaknesses, what kind of spells they use. So it really does allow you to sort of plan everything for your own party, and you can switch up things on the fly. And you can also choose not to fight if you want to sort of back out and maybe level up your character a little bit. In terms of leveling, they actually don't have a traditional leveling system. You can sort of see here right now, actually, this sort of a central hub, and what you have to actually do is find blueprints to upgrade certain buildings in your central hub, which will allow you to spend gold to level up your characters to a certain level. So for example, right now I have the barracks upgraded, so I can level up my first two characters, Kane and Maeve. They can go up to level 4 as long as I have enough gold to spend on them. Whereas the character I just got here, Eric, I need to find a blueprint to level up the mage tower so I can get him to level 4, because right now he's locked at level 1. So it does encourage you to explore, and it does sort of have this different sort of dynamic to leveling. It's not just sort of experience based, because there is no experience in the game actually at all. It's just a matter of you have to get enough gold and also finding enough blueprints to level up your central hub, so you can increase your character's overall level with gold that you find throughout the maps and also through battling. So very, very cool. There is a lot of stats, as you can see here on the stat screen, and there is quite an awesome skill tree there. It's a fairly linear skill tree. It doesn't offer a ton. In terms of the progression, it's pretty linear, but obviously as you unlock higher levels, you'll have more options, because you're only able to bring 4 active skills in. So it does offer quite a bit of customization in terms of that sense, in terms of having your own play style. And there's usually just 1 or 2 different ways you can go for each sort of path. But it is pretty varied. I actually like it. It's definitely there's not like a ton of skills, but with what you have with those skills, it does offer quite a bit of variety in how you level those up and how you want to build your party. Because just from the 3 characters that I played, you're able to control 4 characters. 4 characters for the battles, and I only got up to the 3rd character. I believe I'm going to be encountering the 4th character pretty soon here. And as you can see here, there are 7 characters to actually encounter throughout the story and unlock. So by the end of the actual tower, you'll have a lot of options available in terms of customizing your party and how you want your party to handle each battle. But yeah. That in terms of actual loot, because I do know, just like other people, or if you're like myself who enjoys a lot of loot, this game definitely offers a lot of loot. I believe they actually boast like 100,000 different combinations of possible, 100,000 possible combinations with the random loot generation. Again, I only played the first level, and I did get quite a few duplicates when I encountered loot, but it does seem like it's randomly generated, and there is sort of a crafting system in the game where you can see at the top there's 3 different colored gems. You have your green, your blue, and your purple. Green is essentially common, blue is rare, and then your purples are like, obviously, you're like legendaries or epics. And when you there is a sort of enchanting system that you can encounter throughout the tower, where you go to forges and you're able to upgrade sort of 1 piece of equipment. And then also at your central hub, you can obviously level up and craft new pieces of equipment just at a random generation. So all you have to do is just pick what piece of armor or weapon that you want to craft or jewel, and then you have to spend a certain amount of green, blue, or purple crystals to get that tier of item at a randomly generated sort of attributes for that piece of equipment, which is pretty cool. So it does sort of allow you to grind out some pieces of equipment that you want, and rather than just relying on either buying the equipment, because you actually can't just buy your equipment, or just finding it throughout the map. There are also some unique pieces of equipment that are just like much better than just the stuff you'll find traditionally. And there are certain choices you make while you're exploring that will affect sort of what might happen to your characters, or just potentially getting secrets or loot or special loot that you don't normally get access to. But yeah, overall, my experience with the game has been really, really awesome in the 5 hours, and I highly, highly recommend it. It's a lot of content here. I think if it was a full price title, I don't think I would review it as well. It is a little bit rough around the edges, obviously, but again, they still have some final polishing they have to do. But in terms of actual features and sort of how it definitely felt full featured. It's and the combat's actually pretty fun, especially the slowdown aspect. So in terms of actually doing the combat, you play everything in real time. Like there's no pausing like there is in Divinity, but there is a slowdown mechanic where you can actually make a fair amount of choices. Like it does slow it down to pretty much a crawl. So it is pretty much like pausing it without, fully pausing it, of course. One nice thing I like about it too is they have a pretty unique system with how you can interact with some spells. They have, I believe they call it the arrow time combat system. What's pretty cool about it is, for example, one of my main characters, Kane, he has this ability to create a wall, and what you actually do is you have to actually draw it out on the map. So you can actually draw your own design. So if I want to just sort of go all around one single enemy, I can just draw a circle around that enemy and make a wall there. I can block off a whole section. Doesn't really matter. I don't know if I'll show it in this battle here, but it is pretty cool, and that's the only spell I've encountered so far that uses that mechanic. But I do know that there's a ton of more spells I have to actually use, plus more characters to unlock that have more spells for me to use. And actually, I don't know if it'll use it right here, but either way, the combat's really, really fun. It does feel very tower defense based, and there are even some battle encounters, because there's not just this one that you're seeing here where you're just supposed to defeat a certain amount of enemies. There are certain encounters where I have, for example, let's say there's 2 orbs or something that I have to defend. That was one of the other encounters that I met, and they have a certain amount of health, and the enemies will focus those first. Another encounter I had was there were 3 different portals that were continuously spawning enemies, and you had to kill the portals off. So there is definitely variety, and that was just in the first level. So I'm sure the next levels will offer some more variety in terms of encounters as well. But the challenge level seems great. Like I didn't feel like it was unfair or anything like that. Especially this fight here, actually, it definitely was considered a hard fight, and it does tell you sort of the difficulty or the size of the battle before you actually enter it. So you can sort of make a decision on, okay, maybe we'll withdraw, we'll maybe try and level up our characters a bit, or we'll try and get some better items first, which is nice, and you can save everywhere. And there's a quick save system, so you can definitely, it definitely lets you retry a bunch of stuff if you happen to fail. And I definitely did die a couple of times. But yeah, that's pretty much it. You can, what you see here is what you get. It's pretty basic, but it does offer a lot of depth, like the movement system and stuff like that, especially with the spell drawing. I'm really looking forward to seeing if I can find some more spells for that. I'm probably going to wait till it's actually fully out, since it's pretty close to full release anyways. I'll probably wait. Here, actually right there, you just saw the wall go up, so I can lock down some melee guys while my range guys take care of them. Probably wait till it's out for full release, just because, yeah, it's pretty close, so might as well and get the full experience then. But my total review, definite recommend if you're into epic fantasy RPGs. I highly recommend this. It's definitely got a unique take on combat, and I really enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun with it. But yeah, let me know what you guys think if you guys have played this yourself, since it has been out for almost a year. I'm sure some of you guys might have tried it out. And yeah, it's $20 Canadian on Steam. I'll put the Steam store page in the description below. Make sure you follow me on Twitch as well and Twitter if you haven't already. And that's the best way to keep up to date on all my content. And yeah, as usual, Early Access Fridays happen every Friday. Right now, we're in the middle of Monster Hunter World. We're almost done Persona 5. And I'll probably be picking up some new releases along the way. But until next time, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and I will talk to you guys later.